Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into another episode of BiblioTech on Air. I'm Rosanna.
I'm Ruby.
And I'm Israel.
And on today's episode, we will be having a book talk about a graphic novel available on Hoopla called Sheets by Brenna Thummler. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And then we also have, for Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th through October 15th, we'll be giving some of our recommendations of artists, authors, shows, and more. So make sure you stick around for that as well. Disclaimer, during our Sheets book talk, there is a character that we refer to as Eliza. We actually meant Owen, so please disregard. So let's go ahead and get started with Sheets.
Yeah, so Sheets is a graphic novel that we all just recently read by Brenna Thummler. And so a little bit about it. It tells a story, a heartfelt and imaginative story about loss, resilience, and the power of human connection. So the story is centered around Marjorie, a young girl who is struggling to cope with the recent loss of her mother. Marjorie is left to manage the family's struggling laundromat business while also dealing with the challenges of being a teenager. She's constantly harassed by a ruthless and unscrupulous businessman named Mr. How do you pronounce his name?
Saubertuck?
Mr. Saubertuck? Okay. So Mr. Saubertuck, who wants to take over the laundromat and turn it into a spa. Meanwhile, in the afterlife, we meet Wendell, a young and inexperienced ghost who is having trouble fitting in with the ghostly community. He accidentally winds up in the human world and crosses paths with Marjorie. As they get to know each other, they form an unlikely friendship and help each other navigate their respective challenges. Throughout the story, Marjorie's life becomes increasingly difficult as she struggles to balance her responsibilities at the laundromat, her obligations to her younger brother Eliza, and her grief over her mother's death. Wendell, with his unique perspective on the living world, offers Marjorie support and companionship. And that's the gist of it. Yes. So what was y'all's thoughts on it while y'all were reading it?
People suck. They were so mean to Marjorie.
I know.
Like, she's a kid. She had her mom die. She's running a whole business by herself.
Yeah. That was like the main thing in itself. She's like literally running this whole business on her own. And then like she comes across rude customers too.
Honestly.
I'm like, the girl's literally 13, just doing her best.
Like, aren't there like child labor laws too? Like, also, I told y'all about this like right before we started recording, but the dad pissed me off.
I know.
We get it, you're grieving, but you have two whole kids to take care of. Why are you letting your
business?
And a business. Why are you letting your daughter run it by herself?
Exactly,
but then later on, which we'll get into, when she's like, "Hey, so someone offered to buy the business. I don't want to," and he's like, just do it. Boy, you haven't had anything to do with it. It's
He's
infuriating.
Like, whatever, do what you think is best.
I really liked it.
It was good.
So
good.
Brenna Thummler actually wrote and illustrated it. Oh man, it is.
I know.
The artwork was so beautiful.
Let's just talk about the illustrations. It was beautiful. Like the most beautiful illustrations I've ever seen. I've ever come across in my whole entire life. Like, this story is autumn in a book. Like, if you want, like, right now living in San Antonio, we're freaking living through 190-degree weather, so it does not feel like autumn. But if you want to submerge yourself in already that autumn feeling, this book is it, because it's so beautiful. It just, you feel it.
It really does set the fall vibes. It's so, it's such a pretty book. The colors, the artwork, the story.
Yeah, it was just really well written, in my opinion, as well, compared to like some of the other graphic novels that we've talked about. I feel like it was just very thought out. Brenna Thummler obviously took her time with it, and she delivered. She delivered another book too, right? That's called Delicate.
Well, it's a trilogy now.
Yeah,
apparently.
It's a trilogy. Yeah. So we have Sheets and Delicate, the second part of this trilogy, on Hoopla. We are going to be requesting the third one, Light, so that we can have that available on Hoopla as well.
Because that one just came out.
Yeah, that one just came out September
5th of this month.
Yeah. Shout out Brenna Thummler. Like, I love it. Really good.
Yeah. And another like random thing I noticed when I was looking her up on Hoopla is she did a graphic novel of Anne of Green Gables as well. And that's like a story that I grew up with and that I love. So I'm definitely going to be checking that out because I loved her imagery for this book. I can't imagine for that one. That's going to be so beautiful.
We obviously loved we
Brenna
obviously
Thummler.
love the graphic novel and Brenna Thummler. But I like that you mentioned the colors, right? So that leads us into our first question. So how does Brenna Thummler use color and art style to convey the emotion and atmosphere of the story?
It was everything.
Like,
It
kinda-
ate and left no crumbs.
honestly, 10 out of 10, slay the house, boots down, Houston, I'm deceased. But like it kind of gives it like almost a hazy feel. Like you're kind of
Yeah.
like looking at it through.
That's a really good description of it. I like that.
Like she and like because she goes back and forth from the real world to the ghost world,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's very clear, the ghost world's very like black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if we mentioned it, obviously the ghosts are like sheets. They're just like little floating sheets all over the
Yeah.
place, and so that's why the setting of a laundromat is the perfect place for the
It
ghosts
really
to blend
is.
in.
Mm-hmm.
But so she goes back and forth, and then there's even that little dream section. If y'all remember that time in the book where the ghost is talking, and then it looks like he's talking about how he died,
Mm-hmm.
and that like imagery, the way she did that was just so beautiful as well, because that
Mm-hmm.
is clearly just sketched out
Yeah,
the
that's
way
true.
he's telling it. I don't know. I'm obsessed with everything about it.
Like it's not like a super long read, but it's got substance, and the fact that she took time to all of these panels herself. That's pretty impressive. I would get tired after like 2 pages.
I know.
Yeah, and so mentioning the ghost, the ghost's name is Wendell. So Wendell's experience as a ghost is both whimsical and melancholic. How does his characters challenge or reinforce your perceptions of the afterlife? I'll say it. If I knew I was gonna be a ghost like that, like shoot, I kind of wouldn't fear death. I'm not gonna lie. Be like, oh, I'm just gonna be a ghost, because in the book or in the graphic novel, they also state that there's different sections of the afterlife. The one that Wendell is in is like the one where people kind of forget about them. And Wendell tells Marjorie as well, because Marjorie's mother passed away, and Wendell's like, well, no, if you remember your mom, she's
Thriving.
probably good,
Yeah.
you know, in the afterlife. Just where I'm from, it's I'm a forgotten kid. He was 11 years old and he drowned. That's so sad.
It really is. Like he's just still. I guess it's like he hasn't accepted death in a way, and he's still like looking
Yeah.
for that connection.
I just love that playfulness of him as well. Like when he was playing through the laundromat too, that was so cute. When he was like ironing his back,
Yeah.
and then fumbling
Yeah.
through the machines. It's so cute.
It's very obvious that he's like 11 years old. You know, that whimsical side really comes through, and it's just it's just very sad.
It's
you know?
very bittersweet.
Yeah.
And I mean, this book is obviously for all ages, but I think it's stated like 9 and up. So I like definitely recommend for younger children or teenagers, like even, and then like we're whole adults reading it too, and we just absolutely loved it. So it really is just for all ages to read, because it gives you a little bit of everybody.
It might also be a good like talking point. Like maybe you're a parent and you don't know how to handle
Grief.
the themes of grief,
Yeah.
the afterlife, death. I think this would be like a really good jumping point. Like, read it to your kids, or you can just read it along with them, and then if they have any questions,
Yeah.
it
I like
handles the themes so well.
I know. I really like that you brought that up too, because it makes me think of like movies nowadays too, like Coco, Book of Life, things like that, where it's talking about such a deep subject that brings up, I don't know, it's a good talking point for other people who are going through things like that.
And it's very like gentle too with the topic,
Yeah.
which I think is really nice.
Did it say how long ago the mom died? Because I had a
I
thought
think it was
like
a year.
Yeah.
So were they? Do you think like her mom and like him died and Wendell died at the same accident? Like maybe she
also
jumped in.
drowned.
Yeah,
'Cause she
his
also
mom-
drowned
Yeah,
at
she
a
also
lake,
drowned.
and they're like kind of in the same area, and it was a year ago. So it's like, were they in the same accident? Like maybe he knew her mom, or
Yeah.
maybe like she tried to save him, and that's
Yeah.
what happened.
The perfect thing about there being 2 more graphic novels to read is that these questions that we have,
They'll be answered.
they
Yeah.
may potentially be answered in the next
Hopefully.
novels. Because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, we're gonna find out later in the story that that they knew each other, and that the mom tried saving Wendell, and that's how she passed away. But
Oh,
Wendell
that's
still,
interesting.
That's what I was. That's
That's a
kind of that's where I
twist.
thought it was going.
Uh-huh.
It didn't go that way, at least not now, or at least not up to this point. But yeah, Cool.
Definitely glad she's expanding on it though, because
I
like any
know.
unanswered questions that we have in here will hopefully get covered, like
Yeah,
you said,
yeah,
in those
Definitely.
next two.
And I was trying to look. I mean, I don't know why I'm like interested now when we read a book to see like what other people are talking about it, like the reviews. So I like purposely look for negative reviews, and then like there was maybe only like 1 or 2 negative reviews that I saw, and it was just on the fact that they were like, oh, it's a flatline story because it kind of just ends like that, you know. They think like that's it, you know. But I'm like, no, like it's a good thing that there's all these 2 other books, so that's not the problem here.
Even if it did end like that, like I still think it would have been like a nice
Yeah,
way
it's
to
a nice
end it.
ending because she ended with her and the other little boy talking. And we will be back after these messages.
Did you know that in addition to movies, music, and books, Hoopla also now has puzzles? Make sure you go to your binge pass to find all the puzzles that Hoopla has to offer. Sudoku, crosswords, be a highlights queen and find the items in the magazine. Make sure to check it out all on Hoopla with your BiblioTech library card and get ready for some hours of fun.
And now we're back. But so like we mentioned a couple of times throughout, of course it sets in a laundromat in case you didn't know. So how does the setting of a laundromat play into the themes and symbolism in the story? I really liked this question because I don't know. I love laundromats. Like my boyfriend hates that I love laundromats because I'm like, we have a washer and dryer, but I'm like, let's go wash our sheets in a laundromat because I just love the way it smells, and usually they have arcade games there too. It's like it's pretty cool to me. And so like here, obviously we said the ghosts are your typical ghosts wearing sheets. So that's where Wendell ends up, which is perfect because he gets hidden and he can blend into all the other sheets in the laundromat. But what do y'all think are the themes and symbolism that they play into?
I like that it's a place where the ghosts, where, being covered by sheets, it's a place for them to relax and like have fun almost.
Oh yeah,
because towards the end of the story, Marjorie strikes a deal with all the forgotten ghosts, and like, hey, if you give me this detergent that I use to clean y'all's sheets, y'all can use my laundromat, and have fun and stuff like that, and use the iron and stuff.
And they help her with the business too.
Yeah, they help her with the business too as well. But I don't want to like. I think I would need some time to think about that.
Because I'm sure the other 2 books will get into it as well. Like they're definitely going to talk about why she chose this setting for all the ghosts, and I don't know, like how she came up with the idea.
It's a cycle. You know how like there's cycles, spin cycle, rinse cycle. I think it has to do something with that, like
the cycle of life.
I guess kind of matching this. There's something there. It's a cycle.
It's hidden.
It's somewhere in there. I don't know what I'm trying to get at with it.
I got it.
The metaphor of washing, laundry cycles compared to the cycle of life. I guess just, wash, rinse, repeat.
Wash, rinse,
and then life,
repeat
it's
your
just kind
life.
of live, die, repeat. There's something there.
Yeah, but that is open-ended. So to your interpretation and to ours, as we're definitely going to read the other 2 books that just came out.
We have to now.
I know. We're too invested now.
Yep.
And stans of Brenna Thummler.
Also, just want to say that detergent the ghosts have,
Ghosteraiser, or
that has
Ghosteraiser.
apps. Tide, y'all got nothing on that. That in the story is like the primo.
I need
like
that.
best. It gets all your stains out, makes your clothes look amazing. Like, oh my god, they hooked Marjorie up, and she deserves it. Poor baby.
I know.
Make her life easier.
The issue with the father, the dad, what's his name? Does he say his name?
Mr. Glatt, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Mr. Glatt. Grief is just it's a monster, right? And I don't know. Is it just him, or do they not have their family, or like he's just doing it by himself? He's just doing it by himself.
Barely.
Yeah, and I can understand like how that can be kind of angering, right? But I don't know why I empathize with this, with the dad. I mean, maybe because I'm a dad, but I wouldn't be like that. At least I don't think I would. I hope I wouldn't be like that. but I know it's not an easy thing, right? But it's a year, and like so because grief is like, well, when is enough, right? We see how Marjorie's kind of dealing with it. She's kind of just having to just deal with it, you know?
She doesn't really get to process it from what it
The
seems.
dad is, in a sense, not even processing it either. He's kind of just
There.
whatever. And then the little brother too, like, you know, we don't know how he processes it as well. If it was all within a year, they were all pretty conscious, you know? And it just really shows that how, you know, people are either forced to deal with grief or kind of just give up. And I think, I don't know. Like, I can understand that he's a dad and he has responsibilities, but man, when you can't. Like, when you're depressed, like clinically depressed, like, man, you just can't function. You just can't, you know? Like, even for your kids, you just can't. I even think towards the end, like in the deal that they struck, the ghosts with Marjorie, right? Like, it hints towards him like talking to maybe someone, or is he just back in the laundromat working? Because I don't know if you remember that panel. It's the dad, and then there's a customer that he's talking to. I kind of took that as like, I don't know, love, like potential love.
Yeah.
But it could also just be that he's actually working in the laundromat.
Oh
now.
yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
That
And he's like smiling too and everything.
Yeah.
Um
He looks like he's getting better.
But yeah, in the end, like, so they strike that deal, and because of this, like, the detergent from like the ghost world, like, people are coming from like other states or like other cities. It's like, what in the world?
It's just that
Like,
good.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just that good.
Obviously, the ghost found the secret weapon
The
for
bully,
their
the bully, and that other Mr. Stauber. or
Mr.
whatever.
Sauerkraut.
Yeah, Mr. Sauerkraut.
That's what I kept
They
reading his name as.
cannot. They're not allowed to use the laundromat.
They're not. They ran him
They're
off.
banned. They're banned.
I
He was
really hope
he was
so.
an ugly, weird
He got
guy
me so angry. I was like, my
Same.
God.
trying to buy the
Same.
laundromat from a 13-year-old girl.
And he's already like, he doesn't have any money. His house is about
Yeah,
to
I
get
know.
repoed. I think, like, boy,
Good,
how are
he
you
deserved
gonna
all of it.
He really
Good.
did.
He deserved all of it.
He-
Yeah. Him I can't
hated
justify because,
him.
you know, who died in his life?
Just greed at its worst. Like, dude, you're
Yeah.
gonna prey on this business knowing the tragedy. They just there's so much we could go
Yeah.
on.
I know.
But I would definitely recommend Sheets to all of our listeners, to everyone.
All ages.
And it's a great read. It's a trilogy. We're looking and hoping to get the final graphic novel on Hoopla. But check it out.
And we will be back after these messages.
Do you have any plans for October 7th? Well, you do now, because BiblioTech South invites you to embrace the season at our family-friendly Fall Festival on October 7th from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Join us at BiblioTech South at 3505 Pleasanton Road, San Antonio, Texas 78221 for a fantastic day of fall festivities. It's free admission for all. We thank County Commissioner Rebecca Clay Flores, Precinct 1, and Live from the South Side for their support.
And now we're back.
Alrighty, jumping into our next and last topic. Obviously, it's Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th to October 15th, starting with the independence of several Central American countries, and then, of course, September 16th, Mexico's independence, and so forth. So,
I mean, just randomly, I have a few friends that are in New York, and I didn't know. Honestly, I think last year, I was in New York around on September 16th. I think that's when I was around New York, and they go hard in New York,
Yeah.
like to celebrate.
That's
like
awesome.
there's
That's good.
people riding around with the Mexican flag, and then just recently, one of my friends was posting they were having like a whole parade in New York as well, celebrating the independence of Mexico.
Wow.
that's cool.
Yeah. So actually, speaking of parades, so the inner city west side, the 78207 region, like I think in conjunction with the city of San Antonio, they do a parade. In
Really?
the community, yeah, and it's passed by my parents' house several times.
That's cool.
and they have like the horses. They have like the Lanier Band, which also shout out Lanier, Sydney Lanier High School. That's my alma mater. They just completed 100 years.
Oh,
This
wow.
past Wednesday.
Congratulations.
But yeah, they have a parade.
You don't look a day
and I
over
feel like it's only
50.
getting bigger, and I feel like the parade's only getting bigger and bigger.
Nice. That's cool. I didn't know they did. And it's like, does it happen on,
It's every
Like
the
the
16th.
start.
Yeah.
wow,
happens on
that's
the
so
16th.
cool.
16th of
At the
September,
beginning,
so not-
that's
yeah, or it's on that first Saturday, like after the commencement of Hispanic Heritage Month. So Hispanic is an all-encompassing term, right? So it's for
Not just
like
Mexico.
not just Mexico. It includes individuals from like El Salvador, right? Like all those Latin countries, like Brazil and
Puerto Rico as well.
Puerto
Well,
Rico.
I know it's
It's a territory, right?
a territory. I know some people kind of joke like
People joke all
teardrop
the
Puerto
time
Rico.
because my sister-in-law, she's Puerto Rican, and then me and my family just this weekend were laughing at her because she was like, oh yeah, for Hispanic Heritage Month, I'm gonna give a speech, for her school, and then everyone's like, but Puerto Rican is a U.S. territory. Does that count? And she's like, yes,
Yeah,
it
that
counts.
counts. That definitely
It
counts.
counts.
It's
It's
a
just
Puerto Rican
minority.
American, so I identify as Hispanic, Mexican American. I have family from Mexico. My grandparents immigrated from Mexico.
I kind of wanted to shout out some cool artists that obviously I'm Hispanic. My dad was born in Mexico. My mom's parents were born in Mexico, and she was a migrant worker as well, traveling around picking all those fruits and vegetables. But so lately I've been embracing it even more. Growing up, I don't know. It didn't really mean that much to me. But now, growing up, it's been a lot more to me. I've been trying to incorporate it in any way I can. I've even been buying Hispanic paintings and artwork to put up in my home because I'm like, yeah, that's a really important part of me. So there's some cool artists in San Antonio that I've been looking at, like Emmanuel Essay Artist. That's his Instagram name. He does very amazing artwork that really take you back to your heritage. He has some Topo Chico artwork. He has a migrant worker artwork that I just bought for my home, and he has mariachi. He paints mariachi in front of the San Antonio missions. He paints obviously downtown San Antonio, and then obviously Frida Kahlo. He does many beautiful paintings of hers as well. And then some cool artists that I know that me and Rosanna talk about a lot, like Very That. Didn't you just buy that cup from? Was it from Very That?
It's from Very That. It says it on the cup too.
It says it on the cup.
It's very
too.
tall. It's very small text, but it's on there. Very That. They're just so creative. They're so in tune with the stuff, the merchandise that they create. It's just so millennial, Latina. You know.
So I love supporting that as well. And then there's this other one, the Hasso Studio, that I've just discovered as well. She does amazing Spanish tile earrings that I've been obsessed with.
Another thing that I'd like to give a shout out to on the topic of artwork. So the San Antonio Cultural Arts Center, it's located in the inner city west side of San Antonio, 78207, right by Lanier, right by Tafoya, all that type of stuff, off of Guadalupe, next to the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center. You might have passed by, you might have seen them. They have a giant paleta in the front of their establishment.
Can't miss it.
So they actually have a community mural program. So restoring murals in the inner city west side. And actually, Andrea, who used to previously work for BiblioTech East and who we also interviewed, she works for the San Antonio Cultural Arts Center. So shout out her, shout out San Antonio Cultural Arts, shout out the artists that Ruby's mentioned. Yeah, I'm looking at Rosanna's cup right now and it says, como chingas.
I love it.
And then very small text, Very That.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and then Gali too from BiblioTech South. I know he loves talking about being El Salvador. And then his program for the summer too, when he was talking about El Salvador coffee, El Salvador music. That is, I recommend everyone to check that out because he's so passionate and just talks very beautifully about that.
And it's nice to know that, we're in BiblioTech. We've infiltrated.
We've infiltrated. Oh, dude, shout out to the Fat Tummies Empanadas too.
Oh my goodness. They've been
wholeheartedly-
coming through. If y'all don't know, same thing over there on the west side. They are an Argentinian family run business who sell empanadas. And y'all, those empanadas are
They're the best.
bomb.
I know.
We've gotten them countless times. But to give them a shout out, a more proper shout out, they're located at 2922 West Commerce Street on the corner of off of the corner of Zarzamora and Commerce. But yeah, they were featured on Divers Drive-In and Dives too. So
Guy Fieri was there. If you praise Guy Fieri,
if you love Guy Fieri,
I know there's one of those candles. I mean, there's a candle for everybody.
Pretty
You
much.
know,
Oh,
those,
yeah,
like
yeah,
bead
yeah,
hint
yeah.
candles. There's one for Guy Fieri.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Disclaimer, not an ad, not sponsored, but go check them out.
So I did want to give a shout out to a comic book artist by the name of Felipe Smith. He is of Jamaican and Argentinian descent. And so he's the creator and co-designer and writer of Robbie Reyes, the Ghost Rider, which is the current iteration of Ghost Rider. And I think it's just very important because Robbie Reyes is a Hispanic individual. He's worked with the Avengers. He's part of the current Avengers team. I'm not
Sick.
super caught up actually, so maybe he's not anymore. But this is super important. Robbie Reyes' Hispanic background. It's crucial for several reasons. One, it brings in representation of Hispanics. It introduces cultural nuances, things like that. And then modern relevance. Robbie's character touches on contemporary issues such as gang violence, family obligations, so that familismo that's very apparent in Hispanic families and things like that. It's very apparent in this series. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to Felipe Smith and his Robbie Reyes character.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are they on Hoopla?
They are on Hoopla.
Tight.
Yes. The entire collection actually is on Hoopla. It's so cool because instead of a motorcycle, he has like a muscle car.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is so
Come on,
awesome.
that's
it is
so cool.
Awesome. It is so cool. I love it. But check it out.
Nice. It's pretty cool. I guess real quick, just an author I would like to highlight, Aiden Thomas. They are a Latina author specializing in like LGBT books, but very rooted in like Hispanic Latina culture, specifically Cemetery Boys, which it very much touches on like Dia de los Muertos traditions and talks about like
Nice.
also brujeria and stuff like that. Like marigolds is a very strong imagery which is associated with Dia de los Muertos. Very good read. And then their next novel, Sunbearer Trials, really touches on like indigenous cultures in like a modern day setting that kind of spans like throughout, like just think of like all like South Central American cultures, North American cultures, just kind of embedded in like this kind of modern day indigenous culture. It's super cool. So I would say definitely give them a check out.
Nice.
They're on Hoopla and Cloud Library.
Very
Nice.
cool.
Cool. But yeah, so Hispanic Heritage Month, definitely, of course, your obvious Hispanic directors. Guillermo del Toro is one of my favorites.
Who's that?
In case you haven't heard of him, he was
just a
born in
small one.
Guadalajara. And then, of course, made Pan's Labyrinth, Shape of Water, Book of Life, and Pacific Rim. Love Book of Life, obsessed with Book of Life. Love all the music that they do in that movie. And then, of course, another Hispanic director, Patricia Reagan, who she directed Under the Same Moon, which I don't know if y'all seen that
I've
movie.
seen that one. Yeah.
It was like mandatory assignment for when I was growing up in school for us to watch that movie, and it was permanently ingrained in my brain because it's such a good movie, and it reminds me of like the exact same storyline as Solito as well that the book club just recently read. But yeah, and then another, of course, shout out Alfonso Cuarón, who directed the Harry Potter and Prisoner of Azkaban. Love
Nice.
that. Love that for him.
That was like probably one of the best ones. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, well, yeah.
Prisoner of Azkaban and Half-Blood Prince are my favorites. I think Half-Blood Prince was done by David Yates. I'm not sure.
I think he did the rest of it from Order of the
After-
Phoenix
yeah.
onward.
But yeah, Prisoner of Azkaban, the book and the movie are like pretty beloved by like the fans. Like usually it's people's favorite. It's that shift in like the very dark. It's very dark tones.
It's when the Warner Brothers logo starts going dark.
Alrighty, so getting to our closing bit, we like to end our episodes with what are you reading, watching, listening to? So with that said, Israel and Ruby, what are y'all reading, watching, listening to?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, I just finished Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. awesome. Recommend it. It's on Cloud Library. I'm gonna start Killers of the Flower Moon by David Gran, which is our next Libras and Libations book that we're reading. In terms of like comics, I'm gonna start Delicates by Brenna Thummler, and I'm currently working on The Witcher, Ronin. So it's like a Japanese take on the Witcher series.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool, and that's by Rafal Jaki.
Cool.
Nice.
That's exciting.
Oh yeah, that's your staff pick of the month, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm obviously going to read Killers of the Flower Moon as well, because that's going to be our next Libros and Libations and book talk. So I'm looking forward to that, because that movie should be coming out pretty soon as well.
3 hours and a half.
3.5 hours long of a movie, but I'm looking forward to it. It should be good. Like, I stray away from 3-hour movies, but the fact that we're going to have read the book so recent, and we're going to have a really good discussion about it, and we're going to talk about it on the podcast, we're just going to be so immersed in it.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I hope we go see the movie. That'd be cool.
We're all going to see it together. Close branch down at, or at least we can all have a movie day. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to have to read. But I'm looking forward to that. And then obviously tonight, I'm definitely going to start that Anne of Green Gables by Brenna Thummler, because I'm so excited to read that. I love Anne of Green Gables. My aunt gave me a copy of her Anne of Green Gables book when I was growing up, and she was like, I resonated with this so much, so I'm passing it down to you.
Nice.
Oh wow. Going off of Sheets, I've been on just like a big graphic novel binge. So piggybacking what you guys said, definitely gonna start, Killers of the Flower Moon soon. Definitely gonna start Delicates, because again, Sheets was just amazing. Some graphic novels that I recently read that I absolutely loved. One called Stake by David Byrne deals with like vampires. Paper Planes was surprisingly really good. It's by Jenny Wood. About two friends that kind of end up in like a camp because of an incident that happened at their school. Really good. And then Cosmo Nights by Hannah Templer. That one's really good. Very action packed. Highly recommend. So Hoopla definitely came through for all these graphic novel checkouts. If any of these don't vibe with you, you should definitely check out like their other selections though, because Hoopla has honestly a really good like graphic novel selection.
Definitely.
So,
and if you don't find it on Hoopla, check on Cloud Library.
Most likely, yeah.
Hoopla definitely. That's how we got into Sheets. Hoopla was just constantly. It was like as soon as you logged into Hoopla, they were just showing Sheets, and I was like, man, that looks so cute. The little ghost in the washing machine. So Hoopla has some great, like, you can just deep dive into their graphic novels.
Absolutely. Some of them might be even bonus borrow, so you don't even end up using like one of your checkouts.
Binge passes too. Gotta love them.
10 out of 10. And now we have 10 checkouts on Hoopla, so go nuts.
Oh, dude, heck yeah. It's funny because I was looking forward to the new month, September, because I was like, oh yeah, my Hoopla is gonna just regenerate. I'm gonna check out everything under the sun.
Cool. So that's gonna wrap it up from us here. Thanks for listening, and remember to stay tuned. We'll be talking about Killers of the Flower Moon soon, as well as hopefully Delicates. I'm Rosanna.
I'm Ruby.
And I'm Israel.
And we'll talk to you all on the next episode.
Laters.